Hello, everyone. Welcome to Experience League Live. Great to have you this morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm Sandra Hausmann, and I will be your host today. As always, you can communicate with us in the chat on the right, ask any questions you might have, and we will try to answer them. And of course, feel free to comment. Let's give this a try. Let us know from where you're dialing in from. Uh, okay. Don't be shy. This is really for you guys. So just ask your questions. Let us know where you're from. And I will continue because I have two amazing guests. Oh, yay, India, AJ, welcome. That's great. Um, I have two amazing guests on our show today, and we will be talking about the new campaigns feature in Journey Optimizer. We'll touch on the use cases this feature covers, and of course, we'll have a hands-on session where you will learn how to easily set up and execute a campaign in Journey Optimizer. But before I introduce my guests, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Experience League, it is the one-stop shop for everything self-help. You will find documentation, how-to videos, tutorials, and courses for Journey Optimizer, and of course the other Experience Cloud products there. And if you would like to share your knowledge or just discuss topics with your peers and experts from Adobe, or you would like to follow up on the session, you can do that in the community forums. Simply go to experienceleague.adobe.com. Okay, and now without further ado, let me bring in my guests. My first guest is Bridgette Darling, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Adobe. Welcome, Bridgette.
Hello.
And then we have Frederic Marie, Principal Product Manager, also at Adobe, joining us from Paris today. Hi, Fred. Welcome.
Hey guys.
Have you. Oh, it's so good to have you on the show today. Bridgette, let me start with you. Let's introduce you. So I learned that, or you told me that you learned to ski at 25, and for the
Yeah.
past 7 winters, you have shared a ski house. I'm so envious. With friends in Killington. That's Vermont, right? What's special
Yes.
about Killington?
So Killington it's one of the best mountains in the East. I know it doesn't compare to many other places in the world size-wise, but the town is only like 600 people year round. It's beautiful this time of year, the first day of fall, so foliage season. It got ranked #1 by a number of outlets recently for being the best place to go to see all the
Oh, wow.
leaves changing. So it's really a special place, and I think I love maybe the town more than I love skiing, but it was one of those things that I learned as an adult, and I had to decide whether you couldn't just do it passively, right? Like you had to jump all in. So I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I can't obviously do this in the city where I live in Boston, so I just need to find a way to be up there all the time. So I split my time in the winter between the city and up north in the mountains. So
Oh my God, that is so awesome. And when you're in the city, when you're at work, what do you do at Adobe?
So I am a senior product marketing manager. I'm on the customer journey management team. I spent a good part of my career here watching over Adobe Campaign from a product marketing perspective, but have transitioned over the past 3 years to Journey Optimizer, and it's been really exciting. It's a great new product that we're offering.
Fantastic. And we've been working together a lot.
Yes, 3 of
Fred,
us.
both of you, we've been working together, I think ever since I joined Adobe.
Yeah.
So, Fred, I hear rumors you actually have a black belt in karate, which I actually didn't know up until recently.
Yeah.
So I never got in trouble with you. When did you start with karate? And I mean, how long have you been doing it? And are you still active?
Yeah. So I've started a long time ago since I was 6. So yeah, it's been a while, and whenever I find some time, yeah, I try to practice a bit. And I don't do any competitions anymore, but when I don't work, it's a nice hobby for me.
So you do Shotokan, right? You mentioned
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's the style of karate I do, and yeah, I enjoy it very much. So
Nice. So
yeah.
no Cobra Kai? You haven't encountered them yet? Cobra
Ah,
Kai?
Cobra Kai, only on Netflix. Only on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay, so we better not get in trouble with you. So, Fred, tell us about how you are involved with Journey Optimizer and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a principal product manager for Journey Optimizer, and I've been with Adobe for the last 10 years, so it's been a while. And like Bridgette, previously working on the Adobe campaign product, and now I'm really, excited to work with a great engineering team to deliver our new features and roadmap. So that's basically what I do. Yeah.
Fantastic. Again, I'm very happy to have both of you here today. And we'll be talking about campaigns, the new feature in Journey Optimizer. But before we get started, for those people who might not be or who might be new to the product or are joining the first time, can you tell us, Bridget, just give us a quick overview. What is Journey Optimizer?
Sure. So, for those of you who may not be familiar, just the high level overview. We saw the changing of the consumer environment early on, and it's no secret that the customer is really in control. They control when, where, and how they engage with you, and oftentimes they're doing this across multiple touch points, multiple parts of the business. Maybe they're on their mobile device. They're also interacting with customer service. They might be in a store at the same time. They're also browsing. You never know. And so that customer journey isn't linear. It's not just completely circular. It's really, in some ways, a good chaos, right? It's this constantly evolving life cycle. And we saw, the need to deliver consistent and connected real-time customer engagement to these customers, no matter when, where, or how you wanted to engage with them. And so Journey Optimizer is an agile and scalable application built natively on the Adobe Experience platform for orchestrating and delivering these personalized, connected, and consistent customer journeys across any app, device, screen, or channel in which a customer may engage with you on or through. And so the types of communications or engagement that Journey Optimizer can help you deliver is truly flexible. And it's a wide spectrum of journeys and engagement types that you can do. And so there's the hyper personalized, customer initiated, we say, or customer led one-to-one real-time interactions. So that may be a customer enters a geofence at a brick and mortar retail location or at a live event, and they're there in person, and by entering that geofence, that may trigger a one-to-one message via mobile push notification. There may be the business led or partner initiated signals that may feed a customer engagement. For example, a shipping delay or a flight delay. It's rainy here in Boston, so maybe everyone on those flights today might get a notification via email or SMS that says, "Hey, that flight's delayed," or "Hey, that shipment's going to be delayed because of the weather." Then there's your business as usual, the scheduled and on demand, mostly audience based, although they can be still hyper personalized. And we'll talk about a little bit that today when we talk about this campaigns feature. These are your one to many. I call these the bread and butter marketing. These are going to be your daily promotions, your onboarding programs, etc. And then finally, we also have immediate and broad-based burst messaging, or these your rapid delivery. These are going to be, you need to get out a message to your entire customer base that it may apply to all at once, and it needs to happen quickly. And these are mostly going to be mobile-based type communications. So hopefully that gave you the highest level overview. I know that was a 10,000 foot view, but gives you an idea of what Journey Optimizer is if you have not encountered it before.
Yes, thank you. So let's go down from the 10,000 level view. And I mean, Journey Optimizer up until recently was all about building journeys. Now the new campaigns feature came in. Fred, I mean, you developed that feature. Can you maybe touch on what's the difference? Or Bridget, you can obviously chime in as well. What's the difference? Why do we need the campaigns feature? What does that give our customers in addition to what we already have with journeys?
Yeah, sure, Sandra. So, like you said, Bridget, like we started, with journeys, which enables to do some really nice automation on a one-to-one level in real time. But while we are doing that, our customers, they really send different type of communication, right? It's not because we do real time and one to one that we don't have to, push a message to an audience in a very traditional, what we call batch scenario. And that is exactly what this campaign is Notion is solving. So think of, a typical use case where you need, as a marketer, you need to outreach, uh, do an outreach to an audience in a scheduled manner, on an ad hoc manner. That's exactly what the campaign is meant for. And it's just the result of, us listening to our customers. We express the need of having a very simple user flow, a form-based experience, very guided, to select a content, select an audience, select a schedule, and shoot. So that's really the core of it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point that you mentioned that it's a very simple flow, form-based experience because what we found across our client base is that it's not always marketing needing to communicate and engage with a customer base. And they may not be power users of Journey Optimizer. And so an example that I can think of is you're at a live event or you're at a hotel site property or resort site property and something has happened and you need operations or management to alert the clients that are on site at that time. And so giving that kind of, they can go in quickly, make a campaign and send that out in real time and, still have that kind of knowledge base that everyone they're sending that to is appropriate, but it's easier for them to do so. Fred, what are some other, kind of use cases outside of the traditional marketing that you can think of?
Yeah, I can think of, like depending on verticals, especially on media and entertainment, you can think of breaking news, for example. You can think of, other types of communication like policy updates, or any service-based communication where you need to reach out to your consumers. Those are also some really good scenarios. And one other example I have is, as we've been, introducing this feature, we've noticed that the persona that we talk to are different. Also, sometimes it's a product manager from an application that wants to provide tutorials to their users. That's an in-house use case actually, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a different kind of persona. They are not used to do advanced marketing, but still they need to communicate with their users to enrich the experience in the application, and that's what exactly this allows to do.
And you mentioned that the campaigns can be scheduled as well. So basically, if you want to provide the documentation, maybe you want to provide it at the same time or shortly after the product goes live, and so you can really schedule it, pre-prepare everything, and then just have it fire automatically.
Yeah, exactly. You can do that. You can prepare all your work safely, and then at the given time, depending on time zone, like, you can send that message.
Yeah, Sandra, that's a great example of that is maybe it's a news situation that could go one of two ways. So a sporting event or some other news update where there may be you want to be prepared with two different messages and you want to build those in advance, but you want to wait until to send those out. So that was a perfect example.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see AJ has a question. AJ, we'll address that question a bit later. I did see it, but we'll touch on that later when we're in the system. Another question that I have is feedback data. So can I see if the my audience hasn't taken any action, or one of my customers haven't taken any action? Is that visible?
Yeah, so that's definitely visible. So as usual, we have information around the sending of our campaigns. Then we have feedback information around tracking, who opened the email, who clicked on the email. So all those information are available. And so all kinds of performance can be measured against our sendings.
Mhm.
And then based on that, Fred, correct me if I'm wrong, then based on the action that was taken with that engagement, you can then feed that information to inform journeys to kick off or to follow up, for example, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So what we have to keep in mind is really that journeys and campaigns are not in silo; they are complementary. One work with the other. which means that you might have, some onboarding journey that is fully planned, but a situation comes in and you are sending this ad hoc campaign, and that feedback is also there. So you could leverage that feedback down the road into another journey. So everything is interconnected. And that's because of the power of the 360 profile that we have in Adobe Experience Platform, that really has all these experience events coming back to it. So we can really have the full picture.
Coming back to the scheduling, we do have two questions. So Fatma asks, can AJO also be scheduled on an hourly as well as a daily basis? Or
Yes, so the campaigns can be recurrent. So you can do daily, hourly, weekly, monthly base campaigns.
and then let me touch on AJ's question because he was asking about the global journey timeout. It's a timeout question as well. He asked, can it be changed from 30 days to some other timeout-based business requirements? For example, insurance, customer life cycle, maybe 40 to 60 days. Is that possible?
So on the journey side, this is not something that can be configured. So the 30 days is there also for reasons, for legal reasons, in terms of being compliant with GDPR like rules. So there is the possibility to jump from one journey to another in case of real-time journeys. That's a way to keep your customers or consumers within the journey, but that limit of 30 days is not configurable.
Okay, so before we move into the product itself, I have one more question. So, what makes campaigns different to what's out there in the market already?
So campaign is really a core capability at its essence. It's really about the UI and how many clicks you take to get your email out or your communication out. But what makes it, more unique, there are two aspects to it. One is that it leverages the segments from platform, which are real-time streaming segments. Which means that your segments are going to be accurate up to a few minutes just before the sending. That's one. The second is that this is a concept that we are introducing for all the channels that we are bringing and that we are going to bring also in the future. So it's a unifying concept for what we call outbound channels like email, SMS, push, and upcoming inbound channels like in-app channel or web or any channel we will deliver in the future. So it's a way to learn one construct and really activate on all the touch points that will be available.
Perfect. You know what? I think it's time. Let's take a look at the system. I would like to see how to set up a journey.
Okay,
While
sure.
you're preparing your screen, okay, so maybe there's one more question. What's the difference between Adobe? Actually, I have two more questions. What's the difference between Adobe Experience Platform Foundations and Adobe Journey Optimizer? That's a big one.
So Journey Optimizer, I can start. Fred, you can jump in. Journey Optimizer is built natively on platforms, so it is sharing services with the other applications built natively on the platform, like the experience profile or the real-time customer profile. I think that this is a matter of, I think by Experience Platform Foundations, you're referring to real-time CDP and kind of the more data management application. Journey Optimizer, while it does leverage Experience Platform, it's not just a CDP. We are engaging with customers through these channels like email, mobile, own channels, if you will. Fred, do you want to add to that at all?
No, that's exactly it. So Journey Optimizer is developed on top of platform, but to serve the orchestration use cases, while real-time CDP is more about activation of data, and you will have sources, destinations, in order to activate on all these different properties. So that's really the core of it.
Okay. There's also one question, is AP Foundations equivalent to RTCDP?
Yes, I can follow up on that just to clarify what the differences may be, but
Yes, we'll also have a community thread available in the next couple of days where we can, or where we will address questions that that you had that we weren't able to answer today. We have a couple of other questions from Fatma. We'll get back to those. I think Fred, show us the feature.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I'll do a demo here. And here for my demo, I have a very simple scenario. So I'm going with Luma, which is a fictitious brand that is selling, athletic gears. And let's take a scenario where, Luma, I'm a marketer working at Luma. I have this Summit watch that I sell, and I have a lot of stock. And the new model of this watch is coming soon. There's been the announcement. And I want to proactively, contact a certain segment to promote this product more than I do usually. And to do that, what I'll be able to do is to log into Journey Optimizer, go into the campaigns section, and from here, I will create a new campaign. So when we create a campaign, you will see right now we do scheduled campaigns, but soon we will also have API triggered campaigns, which are more the transactional scenarios. And then we are able to choose the different channels that are available. So here, let's say, okay, I'm doing an email. I will select a surface. The surfaces can be, your different domain names. In this case, I will just go with a test preset. And from here, I will just create my campaign. So the way to think of about a campaign, it's just a form-based UI where you have a set of properties, you have your action and your content that you set, then you have an audience, and finally you define a schedule. So it's really fairly straightforward. So here, let's just say, okay, I have this Summit Watch sale campaign. I can then set.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, we have the scheduling here, and Fatma had the question if we can also apply suppression rules. So the one customer can, I think, will not receive two newsletters, if I interpret this correctly. She writes, can we apply suppression rules so the one customer can receive a newsletter at the day when they are also segmented the same day for an onboarding journey? Oh, or that way around. Okay. So is that possible for campaigns? Not only schedule, but also suppression rules?
Yeah, so we have frequency rules that are set, separately. So it's really done, at the journey optimizer level, and that applies both for journeys and campaigns. So you can define a frequency, and so for example, if a consumer cannot receive more than one email per day, and another journey was scheduled, like this message won't be delivered to that profile. So
Okay,
there is that capability. And also, of course, in the campaign, you can also target and build the audience the way you want.
perfect.
Okay. If there are no other questions, I'll just continue here. So it's just, creating my campaign. I will edit my content. So these are the typical authoring tools. So this is for an email. I will, let's say, create a subject line here. I have all the personalization tools throughout the creation. So for example, here, let's say I want to add the first name. So of course, I'm not going to show all capabilities, but you can personalize fully your campaign. It means you can, insert any personalization token, but you can also insert offers and so on.
So
So
it's it's the email designer that we know from Journeys already. For those who have been working with AJO for a while, there's nothing new. They don't have to. There's no new tool set that you have to learn. You can use, or the campaign uses the same editor basically that we know from Journeys.
Yeah, exactly. So there isn't, like new tools to learn here. It's a new user flow, but it's still leveraging, the same content authoring tools, which allow you to, really choose the way you want to create your content. You can either import, an external HTML, you can go into code mode, or you can design either from scratch or use one of our out of the box templates or any templates that you might have saved, which is what I'm going to do here. So when you select these templates, you can preview them, and then you can use them within our email editor. So this is still, the same email editor that is available in Journey. So same similar experience on both sides. And this would allow you, to browse content. So for example, here, let's say I want to look for some assets. It will allow me to, just find those assets and then start drag and dropping them to build my content. So let's say, here I want to have a different image, or I want to replace actually this image here. I will be able to quickly browse this stuff and then just swap my images, remove stuff, or drag and drop in order to build exactly what I need. So really, like here, I'm not going to spend too much time, but at the end of the day, when my content is ready, what I can do is I can simulate or preview my content. So this is going to be helpful in order to test it. So here, I will be able, to select test profiles. I can select a multitude of them. And once they are selected, I can see the rendering of my email for that given profile. So we see that there was some personalization, in my subject line. There was some personalization into my content, and I will be able that way, to really promote my watch and be very specific. And I can build some very advanced personalization in here. All
And
the
just
classic.
sorry, we did have one question again. I think you just addressed it earlier. If we can upload content directly in HTML, that is an option that the email designer offers. So I think you just touched on that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do two things. So you can either, upload fully your HTML and then start editing it in the editor. Or you can also, we have what we call an HTML component. So you can do a mix where you're building the email with our editor, but you want to pull, a certain content block that is in HTML. That is also possible. So we offer that flexibility.
What about multilingual content? Can that be set in the same campaign, or would you have to do separate campaigns for that with different audiences?
For now, so we have two ways. So we can do separate campaigns, or we can do conditions. So in on the content, we will be able, to do the conditions saying if it's local English, then I will display this content. Otherwise, I will display another content. The multilingual feature per se inside, a similar campaign, it's something we have in plans, but it's not there yet.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So at this point, basically, I'm happy with my content. I can further, test it by sending a proof. So for example, I can select which test scenario I want to send, and I can just type, any email here to start getting my emails. So I can then check my inbox to see if I'm happy with the results. We also have an integration with Litmus in order, to test the rendering through their tool. And after all this testing is done, I will just, save and go back to my content. And from here, it's pretty simple because, this was the biggest piece, editing the content. After that, here, I will just say, okay, so I will, contact my audience. So let's say I want to contact the watch enthusiasts. So this list is really the segments available at the platform level. After that, I have the option to select, the identity namespace. So this is really depending on how you manage your customers. If you have different identities, here by default, I would, just select the email to be the identity. Then, in terms of schedule, so by default, it's you can just start it as soon as you say activate, but you can also schedule it, as we mentioned. So you can schedule it at any future date, and
Can
we
I,
also have the frequency.
if I build this spontaneous campaign that I pull together now, I send it now, it's manually triggered. Can I resend it? So I send it now and then I decide in 2 days I want to send it again. Can I do that, even if it's not scheduled?
No, so if it's not scheduled and you activated it, that campaign is going to go into a finished status, completed. So then what you can do is you can duplicate that campaign and then work on that one.
Okay.
Okay.
We
So
again have one question about there's still a bit of misunderstanding in our audience with regards to the difference between journey and campaign. So the same scenario can be achieved via journeys as well. So based on what criteria, journey or campaign, based on what criteria would you decide to do it within a journey or to do it in a campaign? I mean, one thing obviously is the ad hoc journey that I just mentioned, but when I'm talking about scheduling, or when we're talking about scheduling, where's the difference there? Can you maybe highlight that once again?
yeah. So the same use case can indeed be done in a journey, right? So here the use case is really, to a UI made for these simple scenarios. So, as soon as you want to do an outreach and you want to do it on an audience, this UI will allow you to guide you faster and deliver that in a very simple manner. Doing it in a journey is also an option if you know that as part of this initial plan and this initial outreach, you want to follow up and you have multiple steps. You want to listen for a feedback and then send a subsequent message. If you know you want to do that, then of course you would go into a journey. But if at this point you're just thinking, I want to do an outreach, I need to, promote that watch, and I'm done with it, this is a one-shot campaign. So it's up to you. Both are working, and it's also a question of personnel, because as soon as you land into the journey canvas, you have all these different options to manage events and to manage the data lookups and so on. So uh, that's really the main difference. It's the UI.
So well, actually, Fatma has an example here. She says, let's say I have a customer who are buyers of the watch, but also need a trigger point, like when they visited the site, to send email in real time. Can I combine the segment with that real time trigger? Would that be an example where I would really go into a journey rather than using campaign or
Yeah,
campaigns?
so that's a very good example for a journey, because what you want here is you want to listen for a trigger, right? As soon as you say you want to listen, then it's a journey, right? Because here on a campaign, it's the marketer or the journey practitioner, the journey optimizer practitioner that is going to do an outreach, right? So it's perfectly possible to do one campaign here and have a journey that has a trigger that is we listen for to do an automated action also. So
Let's
both
look at
can be combined.
Let's look at this from the other aspect. So Amana is asking, can a recently launched campaign result be integrated into a journey as a starting point? And I think we touched on it earlier in the conversation. He says, example, the audience who have been targeted via campaign, be the segment qualification for a journey. So can we trigger a journey from a campaign, basically, or from a reaction to a campaign.
Yeah, exactly. So what you can do is, in that case, your journey will just start based on the reaction to any message you are sending. So let's say here I'm sending a message through this campaign. In Journey, you will be able to build a segmentation using the reaction, right? So that will be possible.
Okay, so let's finish the campaign, and I would love to if you could show us where in the journeys then you could choose this campaign as a trigger or the reaction to the campaign. So I think you still had a bit to show us on the campaign setup.
Yeah, so here what I'm planning to show is just to finish this campaign. So, once it's all set, I will review it. The review aspect is going to just give me some information if so everything is right here, but if any setup was missing, it would give me some alerts, and from there I would be able to just go and activate that campaign. So once the activation is done, I can just click on view the reports, and the reporting will be available also from the detailed view. And it's a reporting similar to journeys, where you can zoom in into the channel, and you will have all the performance data. So for this email, opens, clicks, and so on. So the traditional reports. And the same way as journey, you have last 24 hours in real time, and then you have the global report with all time.
And based on that data again, that my understanding is because we have that data, we also know who has not opened the email, right? Who has not clicked. So we could remarket that, or those users who have clicked, we could push them into push sounds really negative, but trigger a journey for them. Basically, they clicked on this campaign, on this email, and now a different journey or a journey will start for them. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. So every reaction is an experience event, and when we build, segments, we can leverage those reactions, those experience events, and say, I want to target people who received but did not click, or I want to target people who opened but did not click. So it's really up to what you want to do. But this is not in a silo, as I mentioned before. So anytime you send this out, the day after you have an idea of a subsequent journey you want to do, it's not too late, right? You'll be able to do that.
Okay,
And
so yeah, go ahead.
it's really just segmentation. So when you build segments based on the profile data and experience event data, that is really what it is about. And on that side also, there is an upcoming enhancement that will make the segment building easier by providing the campaign and the journey metadata. Because today you have to find the message ID to build that condition. But with that enhancement, you are going to be able to use the campaign name, for example.
Nice. So I mean, bottom line, it's fully integrated. I can trigger a journey from a campaign. We have all, obviously, with platform and the unified profile, we have all the information on the interactions on the profiles and can actually work with those with that information for future campaigns or even future journeys or active journeys, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Um, just if we have a little bit more time, what I
So,
wanted to touch on. Yeah, so very quickly, it's just to mention the other channels are the same. So in a campaign, you can create, a push notification campaign, or you can create, an SMS campaign. So those are also available. And quickly, what I wanted to touch on is also the journey side, because there's been, some improvements done also on that side. So we introduced what we call the inline flow. So now when you go into journeys, you will notice a significant improvement in terms of user flow and how quickly you can edit, content in a journey. Because by clicking here, I was able to jump into a view of my journey that shows all channels that are in that journey. So I'll do that again. So you see here, we have a journey that has one email, then based on the reaction, I send a push, or then I wait for an event and I send a subsequent email if nothing happens. These three different content, I can now edit those content directly inline here without leaving the journey. And I'm also able to switch between those different content to edit faster. So that's also an improvement we've done. And this improvement is really, helping our customers to save some time when they build their journeys.
Yeah, that's great. That really makes life a lot easier. I was always a bit annoyed having to click back into the journey, click onto the next channel, and then set that up. That is absolutely great. I love it. Um, we have another question with regards to the reporting. What is the best way to debug journeys or a campaign in case of 100 deliveries or 80 of 100 deliveries are successful? How to know the exact profiles who didn't receive the deliveries? This is not
So
clicking, this is actually receiving, as if I understand that correctly.
yeah, so the all the information of who has received or not are stored, at the different profile level. If the question is more about, having logs into the, troubleshooting who has received and who has not received from the campaign level or from the journey level, we don't have that today. So it's the reporting. So we advise you to go directly to the real-time reports, and the real-time report will show you the aggregated numbers in a real-time fashion. Then if you want to zoom into a particular profile among all the profiles you've contacted, that's not possible yet.
Okay, thank you. So, Fred, this is fantastic. I'm really, really excited about this feature. I think it's going to make the life of our customers and so the marketers a lot easier, to be honest. Um, yeah, we don't have any more questions, unless Bridget, you want to add anything that you feel that we
I
might have
did
missed.
see a question come in on AJ1 Marketo. I just want to emphasize that and go back to the RTCDB question. So Journey Optimizer and Marketo do not integrate directly with each other. However, earlier this year, we did announce that B2B real-time CDP and B2P real-time CDP was announced with obviously direct integrations, direct integrations into Marketo for the real-time CDP. And so that if you do have B2P real-time CDP, so maybe you're an organization that has business to business and business to consumer use cases, you would use B2P real-time CDP. And through that, you could activate audiences or profiles with Journey Optimizer through the integration or the really native experience that we have connecting real-time CDP and Journey Optimizer together. I think something to keep in mind is that you cannot share business objects with Adobe Journey Optimizer. It was really optimized for business to consumer, not a business to business use cases. So definitely follow up. We're happy to give more information. I know that was a mouthful to talk about, but do want to emphasize no integration between Marketo and Journey Optimizer today. And then just going back to the question on, is AEP Foundations essentially real-time CDP? Yes, it would be a real-time CDP kind of base level package. So definitely can connect you to the right account teams if you had more questions there.
Yes, and if you have more questions, come back to this page, the YouTube page. We will post a link to the discussion forum where you can post the questions, follow up with us, and also give us comments, etc. and continue the conversation. I really love our audience. I love the fact that we're getting a lot of questions. This is what this session is all about. Of course, I love spending time with Bridgette and Fred, and I learned a couple of things today myself, but it's all about this fantastic audience that we have today, and very active, a lot of questions. I love it. This is fantastic. Yeah, we're almost at time, but we can't wrap up without our final segment. Our unrelated cool tip. It's the first day of fall. Bridgette, you had a cool tip or a cool information actually.
Yeah, so we were trying to think of something and we discovered that today is national, we'll use that term national very broadly. It could be just wherever you are in the world. Ice cream day, ice cream cone day specifically. We thought that was really interesting. They were a little bit surprised by that fun fact because it is the first day of fall. But I used to work at an ice cream store, and I have a feeling that it is a really good marketing ploy to get rid of inventory before all of the seasonal shops close for the winter. So,
Oh yeah,
I always respect great marketing wherever it shows up.
yeah, but I think it's funny that it's ice cream cone day. I wonder when National Ice Cream Day happens.
Right? It's just different. I mean, it's definitely the cone lobbyists, if you will, needed a day as
Yeah,
their own.
absolutely. Do you guys have any? I don't know. I can't remember if that's actually. It's not really a thing in Europe. I mean, here you get all these cones, chocolate dipped and whatever. I think in Europe, Fred, Paris, the French. Do you guys have different ice cream cones that you can choose from, or is it just cup or cone?
More copper, but yeah, we have the Italian ice cream with cone, but not specifically French one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
We
yes, tiger
mint
tail
chip.
with chocolate chip.
That
Oh,
is one of my favorites.
favorite. Yeah, put your favorite flavor, ice cream flavor, or your favorite type of ice cream cone into the chat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I never decide. I usually take the normal cones. If they have these waffles, I love those. These self-made cones. But yeah, ice cream. I'll take anything I can as
Mhm.
long as it's ice cream. And the Italian style ice cream is called gelato, so it has to be gelato for me.
Right.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us such a great insight into the new campaigns feature and into the new inline editing feature as well. And also, I do want to thank Doug Moore, our producer in the back end, who's responsible to let the show run smoothly and all the great party noises. There we go. And of course, last but not least, thank you to the audience for joining us. I really enjoyed the session. I hope you did as well. And if you have any questions, feedback, in the next couple of days, come back to this page. And you will have the link to the community forum. Reach out to us and we can continue our discussions. Also, I hope to see you again. Our next session for AJO is on October 25th, where we will talk about decision management. And wow, hope to see you next time. Thank you for joining. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.